Hey, welcome back to Black Lab Garage. Are you getting ready to put a 460 together? Well, which gaskets are right? Which one should you use? It gets a bit confusing. You ready? Come on, let's get into it. So the way we're going to do this, I want to show you different options on each one. And we're going to go basically from good, better, best, or in a couple cases it'll be garbage, better, best. So let's start with the rear main seal. Okay, starting things off at the rear main seal, we've got the Felpro BS40032. And if you've seen my other video, you know how horrible these are, because you cannot get the proper crush around the rear main seal on a 460, or around the rear main of the crankshaft, I should say, on a 460 with Felpros, and I won't use them. Now I know some of you are out there saying I use Felpro for years, and I never, you know what, I did too. This is a problem they've developed in the past few years, and a lot of people are having that problem. If you don't believe me, Google it and see my other video, and I actually show you how far these seals are off as far as the crush. So knowing that now, these garbage can. Next, you got the Victor Rhines. These are JV618. These are a good rear main. You know, Victor Rhines is an OEM supplier to a lot of companies, and Victor makes really good gaskets. They're not the cheapest in the world, but they're really good gaskets. So those, and you know I like McCord gaskets. This is a BS209, and if you look real carefully, if I can get to focus and show up, see that D2VE 6701 AA? That's the Ford numbers. So these are, you know, Ford rear main seals. Apparently McCord must have been the supplier back then. And the only other seal that I would use would be a genuine Ford seal, because you're going to get the same quality and they'll be in spec, unlike the Felpros, and you can get the proper crush. So if you want a leaky rear main, use the Felpro. If you want a good one, Victor Rhines. And the best in my opinion is McCord or genuine Ford, and you'll have a leak-free seal for many miles. Now let's look at the oil pan gaskets. Okay, number one, you're not going to see a Felpro oil pan gasket here, not the cork ones, because, well, they're just cheap, flimsy cork. This is a Victor Rhines 1269 cork gasket. You can see these aren't real flimsy. They actually have a metal core in them. These are actually pretty decent gaskets, if you want to use cork. This is not my first pick though, but these are real good gaskets and they're good to use. My pick above them would be the Felpro Performance. It's $18.99, and these are, you can see they've got steel in them also, but these are like a, I think Felpro calls it Felcoid, but it's like a cork rubber felt composition gasket, and these are really good gaskets. They're good to use. But my favorite oil pan gasket for a 460 is the Victor 1266 one piece, and it has the inserts in it so you can't over tighten it, and they're one piece so there's less leaks. Now some people complain about them because Ford made a change on the 460s. In the corners they use different bolts down through the years. So if you have one of the earlier ones that has the bigger bolts, you have to knock that insert out to be able to use it. But if you knock the insert and stuff out, you can still use them on the older models. But these are made to go on the later models, and they used a smaller bolt there. So I'm just putting that out there so you'll know, just so if you get one, you say, well, it don't fit my 460. Yes, it will. You just got to knock that out. Okay. And the Felpro version of this is the same way. You have to knock that out for the older models. And you can also still get this gasket from Ford. And it's an excellent gasket as well. But this is my pick of all the oil pan gaskets for a 460. Now let's look at valve stem seals. Okay, originally the Ford ones were nylon. Of course, they got brittle and crumbled and would stop your oil pump and oil galleys and stuff up. So you have the standard replacements from Felpro, your SS 13364s. You know, they're just polyacrylic, I think is what they call them. And these work. You know, they're fine. But in 1986, Ford revised the 460, even though the head was still the same. Until they went to fuel injection, the head was relatively unchanged from 1973 till the end of 1986. 87 was when the 460 went fuel injected. But in 86, for whatever reason, Ford revised the valve stem seals, even at the same cylinder head. And they went with these type. The SS72702 is a Felpro number for the exhaust side, because it's not the same seal on the intake and exhaust. And SS72687 is the intake seal. And I open another one up, and you can see they have these bands that actually hold them down on the valve guide. And they have little ribs inside of them to help, you know, shed the oil off the valve. These are a lot better seal than the umbrella type. I mean, the umbrella type works fine, but I prefer to use these. And the only thing better than that would be to have your heads machined for, you know, the positive seals. But these are the next best thing. Now let's look at head gaskets, because I know this is one of them you all have been wanting to see. First up is the Felpro 8265 PT1, the old standard blue Permatorque gasket. It's a decent gasket, it works, and I measured all these with a pair of calipers, and this one measures 48 thousandths thick. Of course, you're going to get some, you know, once it's torqued down, it'll compress some, so somewhere between 5 and 10 thousandths off of the 48 thousandths, you know, or for all the gaskets, because they'll compress somewhere between 5 and 10 thousandths. So it's a decent gasket. I've used them, it works. Next up would be the Victor Reinz 3909 head gasket. It also measures 48 thousandths. You know, it's a good gasket. I prefer it over the Felpro because if you flip them over and look at the back sides, see the metal on the fire ring and around the coolant holes and stuff? Yeah, Felpro don't have that. Not on the cheaper gasket. You can see in between the cylinders, and there's nothing here. You do on this side, but not on the back side. So the Victor, and actually look at the fire ring. Look how much bigger it is versus the Felpro. And I just flipped both of them over, even on the other side. Victor still has a bigger fire ring. My pick after that is also a Victor. It's the Victor 3978. And I believe this is it's basically the same gasket as the 3909. It just has this coating on it. Because you can see it also has the bigger fire rings. And it also has the metal interlocking the fire rings between each cylinder. Has the metal around the coolant ports and stuff. It just has this coating. But outside that, same gasket. Also measures 48 thousandths thick. Hey, just a quick reminder, if you're watching this, if you're learning anything or enjoying it, whatever, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Hey, every little bit helps. My next pick is a Felpro. This is the Permatorque Pentaseal, or Pentaseal Permatorque, whichever way they call it. But 8558 PT1. Now, The one reason that I like this one, and I know it's a good gasket, is yeah, I mean it has the seal around all the ports and stuff and all the openings. It's still not as strong in between the cylinders as say the Victor, but the reason I know this is a good gasket, let me show you. This is an original gasket off of an 86 E350 that I've got. And look very carefully. You see the Ford stamp and the Ford part number? The Ford actually switched to these gaskets. So that right there, if they wasn't any good, Ford wouldn't have used them. But there you go. There's your Ford stamp, there's your Ford part number. So these are a good gasket to use from Fel-Pro. And they measure 44 thousandths thick. Now there's one gasket above these. This one, the Fel-Pro 520 SD, severe duty. It is also a apprentice seal gasket, but you can see it's different material. And actually the gasket material itself is different than the 8558. These are made for severe duty. Very good gasket. And it measures 44 thousandths thick. Now let's talk about intake gaskets. But before we do, I cannot stress this enough. If your exhaust crossover in the intake is not blocked off, run a valley pan. Ford put that valley pan there for a reason. Okay? Because some people say, well, it keeps the hot oil from heating the intake up. Yeah, that's partially true. But the real reason is it keeps the exhaust that's crossing over the intake from cooking the oil in the lifter valley and turning into like charcoal and dropping down into your engine. That's the real reason it's there. So if your exhaust crossover is not blocked, run a valley pan. Unless you like running coal and charcoal through your engine. This one here, this is a new one from McCord. It's actually it's for the fuel injected 460s, but I mean it still fits. It's still the same as far as that. I mean anything just to help keep the oil from splashing up on the intake, because I am going to run aluminum intake on mine. And you can reuse the old ones, the original Ford ones, just because they were made kind of one piece with the gasket. Just cut it off, and you can put the gaskets on and just lay the valley pan back in there just to help keep oil off of it. I mean that's fine to do that too. But this here is for a fuel injector, and it's a McCord MS 99019. As far as the gasket itself, well, first up we've got the old standard, tried, true, and proven Fel-Pro MS 90110. It measures 52 thousandths thick, and it's just a plain flat gasket. You can get the racing gasket, you know, the apprentice seals, you know, they're black with the blue silicone. Those gaskets are made to change every so often. I mean, they were made for race cars. So if you use those in a street application or in an everyday application, they're going to leak. I mean, just because they were not meant to last. They don't have a steel core in them. These have a steel core, so you can install your intake, and you're good to go for many, many thousand miles. You know, there's a reason why they call the apprentice seal intake gaskets Prentifails, especially if you have a FE. But unless I'm building a race engine, I won't use them. So this is a decent gasket, but it's at the bottom of my pick. The better gasket is the Victor MS 15171. It measures 48 thousandths thick. But you can see, yes, it's coated, but it has ridges stamped into it, so it will seal up tighter against the head and the intake. And that's the reason that I prefer it. But a newcomer to the game is Magnum gaskets. I think they were bought out by Dana. But this is a Magnum MS 18137. it measures 55 thousandths thick, and you can see kind of like the printed seals, you know, it has that bead around the intake ports and around the water ports, but as you can see, well, it's kind of hard to see on here, it actually has steel sandwiched in between it. So it's a good gasket. It seals good, and it's good for many, many, many thousand miles. You know, just as good as the original gaskets. This is my pick for a street engine, for a truck application. This is the one I'll use, the Magnum gaskets. Now the timing cover gasket, well, this is a Fel-Pro. It's perfectly fine. I don't like the fact that they fold your timing cover gasket in half and wrap it around a little tube, and then you have to try to flatten it out. I don't like that. But I mean, the gaskets themselves are fine. That oil seal is a national oil seal. They're good oil seals. It's a TCS 45129. But you're good to use. Fel-Pros are good to use. McCord, Victor, any of those for timing cover gaskets. I've never had a problem out of any of them, and they're all good to use. Now, as far as exhaust manifold gaskets, you have the standard old silver gaskets that come with a gasket set, or you just pick up at your local auto parts store, and they're better than nothing. I like these Fel-Pro. This is a 17468 Marine 460 exhaust manifold gasket. I like them. But one better than that, especially if you're running headers, is the Mr. Gasket 7413G aluminum. But you can see it's layered aluminum. So they're reusable, and it's a really good looking piece. And these are, especially if you're running headers, I would use these or the Performance Fel-Pro. These were on closeout from Holley.com. They may still be, I don't know, you just have to go look. But this will be my pick of all of them. Thermostat housing gaskets, well, you've got the ones that you can get at your local auto parts store. You know, that's really nothing more than construction paper. Fel-Pro ain't much better, you know, because they use that just old blue gasket material. On that, I prefer, you guessed it, Victor. I've had the best luck with these sealing. Not exactly, it's not cork, it's some kind of composition paper. Of course, they're adhesive on one side. But this is a 71-13538-00. But I've had the best luck with these as far as sealing on thermostat housings. Valve cover gaskets, well, I like cork, but not just regular cork. You can buy the performance gaskets if you want to, but I've found that actually the installation of these matters more than what you buy, because I always glue these to my valve cover. I use weather strip adhesive and glue them to the valve cover. That way you can take it off and on if you need to, and it's not going to tear. But these are a Victor VS 38421. As you can see, it's really, really fine, but it's not just, it's cork rubber. It's a cork rubber gasket. It's not straight cork, but it's not rubber. Because I absolutely hate rubber valve cover gaskets. I hate rubber valve cover gaskets. I will not use them. So, I like these. I don't use anything else. I hope this helps some of you make a decision on what gaskets to build your 460 with, because there's quite a few to choose from, but as you can see, they're not all the same. It does make a difference. So be sure and hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Me and the pups will be back with another one. See yous.